President Kathy. I'm very excited to make this speaker announcement today. And so is Will, because this is the last time you're going to see me, but I reserved the best for last. And so I'm excited. I think we're going to be delighted to hear from Hafiz Haq, who is coming to us from, right now he's in the UK, in the greater London area. And he'll speak a little bit about his background. Some of the slides are on your tables as well. If you'd like to see an engineer, an executive, expert in operations, worked at global organizations. He also is a past Rotarian, so that's very special as well. And hopefully he'll talk to us. I think it was either in a Rotary Club in Pakistan or Rotary Club in the Netherlands. Of course, he is a dear friend of mine and has been my mentor. And so I'm very excited to have him. Bill Doan knows him very well, who's our fellow Rotarian here in this club, who's going to listen to this on recording. He was very sad to have missed it today. So with that, please welcome Hafiz, and thank you, Hafiz, for joining us today.
Thank you, Asad. Thank you for your introduction, and I think you are right that I was actually a Rotarian both in Pakistan as well as in the Netherlands, and I had a great time with both of them, and it is my great honor to present this to Rotarians and ANS at the Kent, my favorite city in the United States, because of friends. There are a lot of friends in Kent area for me. I think the title of today's talk is an expedition of learning. It's a 50 years learning, which I have continuously tried to do. And Asad asked me to share some of my thoughts and some of my experiences from it. And I'm very glad to share with you my thoughts on that. So let me start by presenting a couple of slides, and then I'll stop the slides and come back to you. So can you see the slides, I believe? Yes, okay. So it's an expedition of learning. A little bit about my personal life. I belong to a family of 11. My father was a hardworking government officer. And if you are a hardworking government honest officer with 11 children to take care, you have to have a modest living. I shared room with 2 or 3 siblings until I got married. That was the first time I enjoyed my own privacy of a room. I traveled by 3rd-class cabin because I couldn't afford it. I still enjoyed it. 3rd-class cabin was a wooden bench, and we have to travel about 20 hours or 700 miles by train. Again, as I said, I still enjoyed it and was very happy when we reached our destination. I've had a fluctuating academic career, which meant that I flunked 2 times over the total education of about 16 years. But every time I bounced back. And my father used to say that you are a funny guy because you are either second last or second or first in the class. So how can you achieve this? That shows that when you are distracted, you are at the bottom, but when you are focused, you can be a real performer. But I think what happened is that this failures is a very important learning and a part of my career, because that made me realize that, failures are failures, they are temporary, and you can bounce back and still go on with your normal life and actually outperform, because you learn from your failures. Anyhow, in 1968, I did my engineering. I was fifth in my class. Started to work at Philips Electronics, a multinational in Pakistan. In 1974, I married to an amazing woman. She was intelligent. She is intelligent. She is very wise. She's a great mother. And I can tell you that she made me what I am today. I think without her support, I wouldn't have reached the position that I did. Here is, it's also on your table. It's 52 years of my professional journey, from 69 to 2021 today. I worked first 17 years in Pakistan, 12 years in Philips in Netherlands, 5 years in Philips in Silicon Valley. Then I left Philips after that, and I moved to Hong Kong and started a consultancy which was linking United States and EU startup companies with industrial giants of the East. And the last 10 years, we moved to London in 2011, basically for family reasons. And I had continued in my consultancy, remained very active with China and Japan and Korea and also Europe. And so I've had a very interesting career in many sense, because I've touched almost all functions in a company, and I have touched almost all regions, all major industrial regions in the world. And when you have such an interesting career and you still feel happy about it, there's nothing to be, you shouldn't have any regrets, but I do. One of the feelings I had is, I didn't go to Stanford, I didn't go to Yale. And so finally, I went to Boston. And I came back with a certificate, which I put in a very fancy frame and placed it in my office in the Netherlands. It was from Harvard. And everybody who came to my room was very impressed, until those people who had dared to get closer to the certificate and try to read it. And it read, this is to certify that Mr. Hafiz Haq has never set foot at Harvard. And, and ladies and gentlemen, this is what I am. There was a book written by Harvard people, but the title was What They Don't Teach You at Harvard. And I think what you're going to listen for the next 15, 20 minutes is about the same concept. What I have picked up is not academic work, not research work. It is hands-on experience of the 52 years of touching people, touching businesses, touching all kind of entities, startups, large corporations in Japan and Korea, Taiwan. And that's what you're going to hear. So what I've done is structured my presentation into 4 professional areas, which is self-development and competitiveness, ambition and passion, managing people, and learning from cultural aspects. Now, there is the last item. What you see is Professional Education Foundation. It's a project for transformation beyond imagination, and I'm very excited to tell you a little bit more about it towards the end. So please bear with me. I'm going to stop the screen sharing and be face to face with you again to okay. Now, the first subject was self-development and competitiveness. You know, everybody tries to self-develop, how to improve, how to be a better manager, how to be a better person. And what I learned from my own experience was that the first 5 years were the most crucial. Because that's when your work ethic and your working style and your, relationship styles and management are built up. And I have always come to say, I'm going to make a statement, maybe you can disagree with it. You are very lucky if you get a very tough and a demanding boss. I got one, and I was very lucky. I'll give you 2 examples of it. And the first one was that I was a production manager of a unit, and my boss was the production manager for the whole factory. So at 7:30 in the morning, we had a meeting, which is called production meeting. It went like this. Hafiz, what was your target yesterday? Sir, 500. How much did you produce? I said, 498. And he would say, what happened to the 2? I said, sir, yesterday we had 15% absenteeism. And he would say, what happened to my 2? And I said, sir, there was a 1-hour power failure. I'm not asking you this. I'm asking you, what happened to the 2? When am I going to get it? And he would go on and on, embarrassing me and humiliating me in front of 3-4 other production managers. And I just waited for the chance of they would be also humiliated in a few minutes when they will get their chance. So, and then he would call me later on in the office and said, Hafiz, tell me what's your plan to do 500 pieces, irrespective of what happens. This was the learning bit. This was the teaching bit. And that's extremely important. You know, if he would have been light on me, I wouldn't have learned all these techniques. And I try to develop a backup and planning. If this happened, how do I do that? If this happened, how do I manage it? The second thing was know your numbers. You know, if somebody comes and asks you, how much is your sale? And if you are going to go your computer, you are dead. In a business, you have to live your numbers. You have to remember them by heart, not by intention, but it comes when you are committed to the business. I've gone to the loo. I'm standing in front of the piss pot, and my boss comes, stands next to me, and asks me, Hafiz, what has been the production today? And I can tell you, he's not asking about the water which is flowing. He is asking about the production of my products. And my God, I wasn't prepared for this answer. So I looked at my watch. I said, okay, 2 hours. I said, Mr. Beg, maybe 200 pieces. And he said, what do you mean by maybe? Didn't you check before you left the office? Oh my God. You know what that did? The next time when I felt the need to go to loo, I had to first get the numbers, production numbers. And you know, what he was really teaching me is, man, you have to keep a monitor on the numbers. And that's what you should do. Honestly speaking, I hated it. But he also taught me what is strong follow-up is all about. Because managers, they like people to whom you can give an assignment and forget it. Now, how do you perform that? You only can perform it by having a system of follow-up and being persistent. I can tell you, I learned this technique. And when I was in Holland, I had a British colleague who gave me a compliment. He said, Hafiz, you are but persistent. I can tell you that when these words are spoken in the real British accent, they mean twice as they would be spoken in America. And I also want to tell you another thing. You know, in Holland, I achieved the 25 years at Philips. There's always a very big celebration. You know, the longest letter I wrote of thanks was to my boss, my first boss, whom I hated at that time. Last thing, mentorship. So I was, when I got married after a few years, my wife asked me a question. Where do you think you will reach in this company? And what is your ultimate ambition? And I said to her, you know, and in those days, the CEO position were held by expatriates. And I said, well, if I would be the CEO of Philips Pakistan, that would be great. And my wife said, are you stupid? Unrealistic, totally unrealistic. You know, I reached 2 levels higher than that position. You know why? Because I had mentors. And I learned the definition of mentorship. And I say this is my definition. You won't probably find them in any books. A mentor, you have your own perception that you can reach here. The mentor sees you and qualities in you and judges that you can actually perform here. And he will give you assignments, taking personal risks, because a manager takes personal risks if he gives an assignment which is, you know, beyond somebody's capability. But he will also help you and coach you how to do it. And this is, I was extremely lucky in my life. I had 2 or 3 very good mentors, and I saw what the mentorship is about. Next subject is ambition and passion. So I was in the United States, and my boss called me and he said, you know, there is a business unit which is making a lot of losses. And their numbers is that it has sales or revenue of $25 million. And can you believe losses of $25 million? 1-to-1. You may think that it's not possible, but I can tell you it was possible. It was there. And he said that I have chosen you to fix it. And I said, sir, it is impossible. And he, without blinking, he said, yeah, it is impossible. And that's why I have chosen you for this. Wow. You know, he gave me such a compliment that I took it. I took the assignment and I fixed it. How did I do that? That's a separate story. But, you know, there's a great saying from one of my favorite consultants, Shigeru Shingo, who actually developed the Toyota's production system. He says things are difficult before they are easy. Isn't it true today? Look at your mobile phone, look at your computer. Those things are very difficult 20 years ago, or not even imaginable. But today they are available in a piece of cake. So that experience I like to take difficult challenges. Another thing is be different. It's not good enough to be good, because there are many people who are good. If you want to stand out, you better be different. So in Philips, Pakistan, for many years, the top three positions were expatriate positions. So the Philips Pakistan was planning to do a succession and start preparing their executives for taking over the expatriates. The CEO at that time didn't want to take such a big decision on his own. So he invited the head of HR of Philips Corporate for a one-day trip where he presented to him 10 top senior managers to help him make a selection, that who would be the one person who would go to Holland for an orientation and training for 3 years. Now, there were 10 candidates, all very good, all my friends and colleagues. Now, when I started to prepare my presentation to him or my discussion with him, I thought my position is very weak, because there are 4 people who are more educated than me. There are 4 people who are 4 or 5 years senior to me. They're still young, but they're senior to me. So I put myself on number 9 at best. So what I thought was, I had to do something different, because, I'm sitting there. So I started to analyze my competition, which was 10 people. I said, I know what's going to happen. I knew them, that all of them would make a nice CV. All of them make a nice story out of their CV and make a good presentation. So I did something different. So in those days, there was no PowerPoint. There were plastic slides, but I didn't even go to that extent. I took a paper slide and made a 6 or 7 page presentation on myself, as if I was a star. And so this guy smiling and listening to me, didn't say anything until the time was over. He left and he flew back, and he invited my CEO to come to Holland and take this decision. Next morning, my boss came into my office and he said, Hafiz, what did you do yesterday? I said, what did I do? You made a presentation on yourself. What do you think? I said, did I mess up? He said, I don't know, because the guy was simply talking about it a lot. I really don't know whether you messed up or not, but I wanted to tell you that we are all very surprised. I said, it's okay. My boss went to Holland. He came back and he said, Hafiz, you are the guy. You're going to Holland for 3 years. Now, the only thing I did was I was different. They're all good. All 10 were good. Passionate commitment. You can't understand how much a passionate commitment in the relationship with your bosses and your colleagues can mean. I made a proposal to my headquarters in Netherlands to invest in a startup company several $1 million. And so they were considering my proposal. Unfortunately, I could not go and present. In those days, Zoom was not there. So I gave the presentation to my CTO, who used to live in Holland, I was in California, 9-hour time difference. And he made the presentation on my behalf. I had told him that if it goes sour, you have to call me whatever time it is. And he went and made this presentation to my big boss. He called me at 1:30 in the morning, which was 10:30 a.m. Holland time. And he said, Hafiz, I'm sorry, they have rejected the proposal because this technology doesn't seem to have a high potential. Number two, I was also advised by the boss that please tell Hafiz that, this is final decision. So please don't come back on it. Apparently, I had a legacy of not giving up. So I listened to that, very disappointed, went to bed, tried to sleep, left turn, keep on taking sides. I couldn't sleep. So I got up at 3:30, called my big boss in Holland. And I said, he said, well, we have taken a decision, which is negative, and we have also told you this is a final decision. I said, yes, I know that. And I'm violating your instructions. Sorry for that. But I want to tell you that I'm very disappointed. I also want to tell you that I look at 20 companies before I suggest one. And I think your team and your CTO has not done a good job of communicating with me. So I just wanted to tell you this. Now, before he would argue, he would listen to my argument on the merits of the case. He asked me, where are you? I said, well, I'm in California. What time is it? I said, 3:30 a.m. He said, what the hell are you doing at 3:30 a.m.? I said, I'm talking to my big boss. And he said, Hafiz, you are impossible. You are impossible. What do you want me to do? I said, you send the CTO, your CTO to the company in Boston. Let us jointly evaluate. We take a joint decision. He said, done. Finally, he came. He approved the deal. And we got it done. And this is the technology which is today used in Kindle by everybody. So I had something to do with that technology. This is what passionate commitment can do. Managing people. So there are a lot of ways everybody can read the books and the documentaries about how to manage people. But what I learned was that instead of catching people doing something wrong, it's a great strategy to catch people doing something right. It is so motivating. You can then criticize too. Another thing is, my boss came and told me that you have very good ideas, but your ideas are not adopted. So you apparently don't have a good selling strategy for ideas. And you better develop one. And I think his comments were right. And I looked at it. And I found that, yeah, people are afraid, people are defensive, people are, cautious about my ideas. And then finally, I found out that the best strategy is to let your ideas get stolen. And I found that the moment your idea gets stolen, it gets wheels. It moves fast. And, I don't have to worry that the management would give him or the other guys the credit, because management is smart enough generally to figure out whose idea it was. Another aspect which I want to highlight is peers and the team building. I want to tell you that in my experience, a boss's biggest worry is the relationship of the peers. Your relationship with the peers. Because peers has a, jealousy, professional competition, But if you can build up a good working relationship with peers, it's good for business and it's also good for your career. And another thing which is very important is team training. I had come to the conclusion that individual training generally is not so productive as team training is. Why? Because it develops a common business language. What do I mean by common business language? And I'll give you one example, because the time is not there. If you have a management team of 5 people and you ask them, define competitiveness in your business, I can bet that you will get 5 answers. Now, when the 5 business managers of your team get 5 answers, that means that they're all moving or pulling in different directions. You better spend some time in creating a team training where at the end of the day, people will have one concept of what your competitiveness is, and then you will see the results. Last item, learning from cultural aspects. Now, I had a number of interesting examples, but I will leave it for the question hour session. But I will focus on China. Why? In 2003, when I left Philips, I decided to go to China. Whoever heard this statement gave a compliment to me. Oh, brave. And I know the translation of brave was stupid. Who would like to go to China? I could have stayed in California or back to London or Netherlands. Because I've said to myself that I've had experience all around the world, except China. And China is so important and is getting so big. At that time, they were not that big, but there was something happening. And I said, I must go and learn, try to learn what's going on. And I found 3 or 4 aspects of the Chinese people, which I would like to share with you. And I think it's very important for especially for the medics to understand what is going underneath and what is behind the competitiveness of China. Because it gets muddled with the, with the media news. First of all, I found a very strong national pride and ambition of Chinese. And you can see that in everything they build. Big, huge. Roads, big. Bridges, big. Number 2, at the people level, tremendous curiosity and desire to learn. Essentially, they are very modest. They say that, they need to learn. You will generally not find Chinese boasting that I'm willing to teach. I can tell everybody what to do. Try to understand what is their source of competitiveness. What I have said, what I have written here for myself, it is the work ethics of the West of 1950s. That is what has been the Chinese source of competitiveness. It is your work ethic of the 1950s. And I'll give you a very quick example of a company which is located in Kent. I was responsible for hiring a logistics officer in China for this company, located in Ohio. And I interviewed 5 English-speaking graduates from the university. All the 5 candidates, I asked them one question. I said, your job of logistics officer requires a 2-hour overlap between the headquarters and you in China. There is a 12-hour time difference. So 9 a.m. when the office starts, it's your time, 9 p.m. and it's your dinner time. So how are you going to create this overlap? I was shocked that all five, without blinking, immediately answered, no problem, sir, we'll fix it. We'll move our timing. Can we do it here? No. This is how a low-cost manufacturer is moving towards innovation. That's all what I wanted to tell about China for the moment. Ladies and gentlemen, my story will not be complete without introducing to you a project where I got involved about 11, 12 years ago. I had this feeling of debt after being successful and, fairly safe, that it's now time to give back. And with these thoughts, I went back to Pakistan, where I come from. And I talked to a lot of my friends. So let me share with you a few things over there. So it's called Professional Education Foundation, in short form PEF. It's a social entrepreneurship project, 2009 to 21 so far. What I felt was that this 4 year of engineering, which had put me on the growth path. And I found that there were thousands and thousands of students who were brilliant, who got an admission just like me, but they didn't have the money to pay for their 4 to 5 years fees. Now, when I found this out, I couldn't sleep. So I was in Pakistan at that time, visiting. So I talked to my friends. And what I did was, I leveraged my friendships for a good cause. And in 2009, we established PEF, Professional Education Foundation. Our mission was poverty alleviation through professional education. And we thought that we can bring a transformation beyond imagination. And I will show you we have. We started in 2009 with 75 scholarships. In 2021, we will do 1,900 professional scholarships. These are engineers, doctors, agriculturists, BBA, IT undergrad students. 1,700 alumni has passed out over this period, and their lives have been totally transformed. Many of them are running their own businesses, and some of them have even started their mini PEFs. This is where they came from. They walked 9 miles to their schools. They couldn't afford 3 times meal. They had decision-making of skipping a meal and buying a book. They want to get out of this mess. And that's what they are today. Dr. Irfan Majid, a son of a poor motor mechanic, the first guy in his whole village and family who became a doctor. And he's now working in your neighborhood in Columbus, Ohio. And he has taken the responsibility of educating 40 of his not only siblings, but cousins and in some cases, nieces and nephews. 40 people. He's running his own PEF also. Hassan Nawaz is an orphan. You don't know what an orphan's life is in Pakistan. No state support. Still, her mother made her to the engineering university. And we supported him later on. And today he is in Germany.
Excuse me, Hafiz. I hate to interrupt such an incredible program. We typically are done by 1 o'clock our time. And so I know some people need to get back to work. And if it's okay with you.
This is my last slide.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, this is my last slide. So 1,700 alumni contributing about $5 million a year to the economy. The total investment of education in per student for an engineer is $2,000 only, and $2,500 for a doctor. And these students, when they get successful, they will earn this entire money in 9 months or so. Where else would you find a better return on investment? And that's a part of my life for the last 10 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's a tradition in our club that we have a responder to the program, and today's responder is Tom Larkin.
Hafiz, thank you very much for the great presentation. After listening to your journey, it's very obvious why you've been so successful. Your perseverance in facing adversity at various times in your life, your willingness to listen and learn from others, your ability to develop relationships with others, and now lastly, giving back to society. It's no wonder that you've been so successful throughout your life. So thank you for sharing your experiences with us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And we're going to ask if you can stay and answer questions, but to close the meeting, we're going to say recite the four-way test. So is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it be goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?